Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with 14 little details you may have missed throughout the entirety of Bethesda's E3 showcase, and let me tell you, some of these things might excite you more than the big things that Bethesda was focusing on. We have a lot to go over, so let's get right into it, starting off with right in the very start where we see the vault itself. Upon exiting the vault, the player passes by a place mentioning get a job and developing skills. We see the vault boy and various perk images throughout. We see stuff like the cap collector, settlement building focused perks, and I believe this job system is going to be the way you focus on building your character in Fallout 4. I think it's going to be a lot of the Fallout 4 perk system, but also making your player have a special role in the world. There's also focuses on radiation, so perhaps when you nuke certain areas in Fallout 76, you'll suffer less than other players around you, making you more beneficial for those types of raids and play styles. Number 2 is seeing a shot of the map as Todd Howard is going on about Fallout 76, and in this overview of the map, we see where Vault 76 is located, some nearby areas to help us pinpoint what region we are in, but also the Mothman Museum, which seems to be playing a huge factor into Fallout 76 along with all the other West Virginia myths and folklore. One thing that my team and I took away from a lot of the map shots that you'll see throughout this entire video is that there weren't any additional vaults outside of Vault 76, and I'm not sure if that's because Vault 76 is supposed to be considered this incredibly special vault, and so they didn't decide to build any around West Virginia, but this is just something I noticed when looking at all the various icons throughout the map. There weren't any other vaults. Now, I mentioned Virginia folklore, myths, urban legends, what have you, and that's where our next hidden detail is, in the Tales from the West Virginia Hills. When we found out the name of this urban legend, which is the Grafton Monster, I instantly took to the internet to try to find out more about all these various urban legends within West Virginia, and let me just tell you, they're loaded with them. I found an article called westvirginiaexplorer.com, and it actually told us about a couple that we may be seeing throughout Fallout 76, and some that we even see in the trailer. So of course there's the Grafton Monster, which is naturally located in Grafton, West Virginia. The article goes on to say, through these woodlands prowls a monster, some say. The legend of the Grafton Monster has endured since the 1960s when sightings were at their peak. The man-like beast is said to be akin to Bigfoot or Skunk Ape. According to the book Monsters of West Virginia, eyewitnesses have estimated that it stands between 7 and 9 feet tall and is cloaked in pale skin that is the slick-like of a seal. The article also goes on to mention things like sheep squatch, which has been encountered near Cross Lanes, West Virginia. There's the also entirely creepy Flatwoods Monster, which we see a lot of potential lookalikes throughout this trailer. Pretty much this one I can't imagine not being in Fallout 76 since it is actually assumed to have been extraterrestrial, aka crashing to the Earth through a UFO. This urban legend was apparently discovered in 1952 by a group of courageous children, so I feel like that's an iconic fit for the Fallout game, as they always have the UFOs or the alien weaponry, something along those lines. And another urban legend that this article mentions, outside of course, the Mothman, is the Snarly Yow. Number 4, while a tiny one, there is actually a revenge bonus delivered to the player character upon killing someone who has killed them in the open world of Fallout 76. Now, I don't know if this reward differentiates based off how many times that person has killed you in a row, or perhaps how many levels above you they are or below you. Do you get less of a reward? Can you loot that person you kill? These are questions that have not been answered, but there is a revenge bonus that does give you additional caps for taking out said person. Number 5 highlights some of the, as I quote Todd, softcore survival elements in Fallout 76. We can actually see that there are hydration levels back that take away from the action points bar, like in the survival mode for Fallout 4, and furthermore, in a camp scene, we can see that there is a food bar that pops up, so there's going to be some player management to account for in the terms of food and water. Just for yourself though, it doesn't seem like any type of civilization is going to be accounted for, since that civilization will be the players themselves. Number 6, much like number 4, is a very tiny detail. We see a bunch of players entering what is Camden Park. Turns out that's actually an amusement park, and if you play Nuka World, you have an idea of how Fallout amusement parks go. They're pretty crazy, and they can actually be a good time. So the idea that there is another amusement park that we will be able to explore and now build whatever we want within it is actually a very exciting prospect in my personal opinion. Number 7 can quickly breeze over your head if you don't realize the perspectives of the trailer, because we see players running up this bridge and they see another group of players across from them. Quickly, the camera shifts to the other perspective of those players that they see above them, and they exchange in a firefight, which does confirm that there can be group PvP in this game, which I don't think was a point of question, but I think it's nice to see it actually in action and how it can work, where players can band up and fight each other. It's not almost that solo experience, and if you play by yourself, you can end up being ostracized, so players can have unique encounters with one another, where, for example, I can band with a group of randoms, and we can take out someone who's been bothering us in the wasteland. If the beginning wasn't confirmation enough, I believe number 8 will confirm that perks seem to be returning. We can see when we're trying to set up a medical store that a level 1 first aid perk is needed for the campsite. Furthermore, we can see even later in this same camp section that there is a new perk called Home Defense at level 3 that is required to build this defensive item. This was something from Fallout 4 that is now carrying over into Fallout 76, so I imagine maybe this will be a job system combined with the perks themselves, but there are new perks obviously coming to Fallout 76, and that means new Vault Boys to put in my thumbnails. You already know that's going to be awesome. And we're going to be keeping on with that camp theme when we go into number 9, which is a small detail. Each item in the camp seems to have multiple variants. I mean, we saw chairs with dozens of variants, then we saw cabinets with up to 6, so you can spice up your settlement a little bit. It also looks like, in my personal opinion, that the UI has been organized a lot better than Fallout 4's was when it came to the settlement mode, so that's certainly a relief. But yes, everyone's settlements will be able to look a little bit different with all of these variants involved. I wonder if there's a way to unlock them, or if they just come alongside the game itself and you instantly know how to place these items just as long as you have the materials themselves. Number 10 might be a bit of a disappointment, because some people have these grand ideas for workshops and then they get smothered by the game's limitations. And yes, even in Fallout 76, there's a limit to how much you can build with the workshop budget on the corner of the screen. It shows how much you can build in an area itself. I get why it's there. The game can't just have 1,000 items placed in a single point because it'll crash the title itself. But for those who missed it, yes, there is going to be that limitation on how much you can put down in a set area. But it seems like the camp in this game is more of a focus on building on the go, setting up a camp that'll satiate your needs in the moment, and then moving on to explore more with your friends, not setting up in one area and leaving everything there. Number 11 is the final hidden detail of the camp itself, and that's that there is a blueprint option. So I was talking about discovering all these new items, new variants, and perhaps the blueprint option is where you put those unlockables there. There were, for example, magazines in Fallout 4, like the picket fence ones, that you could unlock new items to place into your settlements. So I wonder, since we saw a magazine talking about the folklore of West Virginia, if there's going to be ones unlocking new items for the campsite, and if they are, will they be under the blueprint section, or are the blueprints almost like prefabs from Fallout 4, where they were already predetermined structures that made it easier for the player to build so they can just place it down and move on with their day. At number 12, we've seen these small robots crawling around a couple of times in the trailer, and actually when they ambush a camp, we get their names. Now, I'm not sure what their origin is or anything, but they are called Liberators. I imagine that they may tie to some type of story, if there even is one, in Fallout 76, and I wonder if they're essentially, based off the name, trying to liberate the camp itself, and that's all they serve the purpose as, to come in, raid your camp, and be a bother. Number 13 is a very important detail. As Todd Howard mentioned in the beginning of the conference, there are 6 regions throughout West Virginia that you'll be able to explore, and they go by the names of the Forest, Ash Heap, Cranberry Bog, the Mire, the Savage Divide, and Toxic Valley. Furthermore, we find out there are multiple nuke sites within Western Virginia. We don't have an exact number on them. I can't imagine it's a high count because you can just end up destroying the entire map, but I imagine there has to be enough if we're seeing probably 24-player servers or something along those lines. And so they start listing the nuclear sites on this map here, but it quickly fades out where it's very easy to miss, and we see 1 in Cranberry Bog, 1 in the Mire, and 2 within the Savage Divide. All of them seem to be sort of away from Vault 76, as in it's going to be a little bit before you venture out there and acquire the keys to set off the nukes within your world. And last but certainly not least is at number 14, the hidden detail, which I thought looked pretty dope, which is a new set of power armor next to the T51 and XL1 armor. We see one all the way to the right. Power armor, I have to honestly admit, it can be one of the biggest struggles as a Fallout YouTuber because there's so many marks and versions and ways to mess it up. But this is in fact a brand new piece of power armor. We don't have an exact name for it, but it looks awesome. and I personally can't wait to hop inside it. But that'll be it for this video. These are a bunch of little details that my team and I picked out, put together in this video. I wanted to show you guys, for those looking for those hidden extra goodies within the big reveal for Fallout 76. So I'd love to see your thoughts on what we have discovered. Are there more little things out there? Let us know in the comments down below. Other than that, be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that, as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.